How do you replace a legend? How do you step into a role that was once occupied by some of the greatest voices in music history? And how do you carry forward a legacy that has already changed the world? For this man, those questions became reality. He entered one of the most celebrated vocal groups that was ever assembled. A group whose name is synonymous with excellence. A group whose history was filled with icons. And a group whose fans expected nothing less than greatness. Yet, he wasn't interested in becoming a copy of anyone else. He brought his own voice, his own style, and his own passion. This is a singer who accepted one of the most difficult challenges in soul music history. The centerpiece of today's video is all about Louis Price. Now, before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more uploads. Now, without further ado, let's cue that intro. Long before the bright lights of international stages, before television appearances, before the Temptations, Louis Price was a young man developing a gift. Born on March 29, 1953 in Chicago, Illinois, he attended John Marshall High School. Growing up during the era when soul music dominated American charts, he became inspired by the sounds of gospel, rhythm and blues, and the classic vocal groups. Like many great singers, his earliest lessons came through observation, listening, and practicing. He learned how great vocalists connected emotionally with their listeners. Music became more than entertainment, it became a calling. And Price quickly discovered that he possessed a voice capable enough of commanding attention. After high school, he moved to Los Angeles, where he sang with various groups. Talent alone rarely guarantees success. The music industry demands discipline, dedication, and patience. Louis Price spent years developing his abilities, performing in various settings, studying stagecraft, refining his vocal techniques, and preparing himself for opportunities that might one day arrive. At the time, he could not have known that one of those opportunities would be placed right in front of him, in one of the most legendary groups in history. By the late 70s, the Temptations was already musical royalty. Their story included legendary names such as Paul Williams, Eddie Kendricks, David Ruffin, Dennis Edwards, Melvin Franklin, Otis Williams, and Glenn Leonard. For nearly 2 decades, they had dominated radio, concert stages, and popular culture. Their catalog included timeless classics. Their choreography became iconic. Their harmonies became the standard by which vocal groups was judged. Joining the Temptations was not simply joining a group, it meant becoming part of history. In 1977, when he was just 24 years old, he was hired to replace Dennis Edwards in the Temptations, at a time when the group's fortunes was certainly on the wane. When Price was selected to join the Temptations, for many singers, the news would have been overwhelming. The expectations was enormous. Fans would compare him to previous members. Critics would analyze every performance, every note, every appearance. But Price understood something important. The only way to succeed was to be himself. Joining an established group really requires balance. A new member must respect tradition while bringing in something unique. Louis Price accomplished exactly that. His voice blended beautifully with the group's signature harmonies. Yet, he also contributed to his own character and personality. Audience quickly noticed his stage presence, confidence, and his vocal power that helped him earn respect for fans and fellow musicians alike. He stayed for both of their Atlantic albums, which is arguably the Temptations' 2 less successful albums. When Berry Gordy lured the Temptations back to MOTOWN for the 1980 release of the album Power, Dennis Edwards rejoined the group and Price was left on the sidelines. He was the principal lead vocalist on the Hear the Temp You album, and he also featured as lead vocalist on songs such as Bareback,
The mainstream before the hit the fan. Like
Think for Yourself,
you got to think. Ow, keeping up with the pace of
and A Lifetime,
love like yours in a lifetime. In a lifetime, baby, I could
Mystic Woman,
in paradise together we are bound. Hey,
and I See My Child.
run along. Someday you might.
When Price left the Temptations, he joined the Drifters, and he remained with them for the first half of the 80s, while also doing occasional studio work for groups like Heatwave. Price recorded his self-titled debut album, which was released in 1991 after signing a deal with MOTOWN in the late 80s. He had some notable songs such as Distant Lover, Play It By Heart,
Treasure, now we know.
Fresh in Blood,
All the same, 'cause red runs through our veins, we believe.
and Try It Baby.
Nobody loves him but
Price did manage to secure a second career in acting and singing on soundtracks. His voice could be heard in the soundtracks of movies including Happy Feet, The Lion King, and Norbit. In addition to this, he landed numerous acting parts, such as My Wife and Kids and a role in the movie White Man Can't Jump. Ironically, Price played the singing voice of Dennis Edwards in the television miniseries of The Temptations. A few years later, he contributed backup vocals to an album by Smokey Robinson. Price is also a passionate golfer who frequently travels the nation to play in elite courses. In addition, he still performs as a solo artist, singing songs from The Temptations and a range of other songs. Now, life as a Temptation meant constant travel. The schedule was demanding: concert halls, television appearances, and promotional events, night after night. Audience expected excellence, and for many fans attending these performances, they had grown up with the music. The songs carry memories, emotion, and personal meaning. Price approached each performance with professionalism and respect. He understood the importance of honoring that connection. The Temptations has always represented more than music. They represented excellence, sophistication, and professionalism. Every member became responsible for preserving those values. Louis Price embraced that responsibility. His performance reflected standards established by those who came before him. At the same time, he helped ensure that the group remained relevant in a changing industry. One of the most difficulties facing any Temptation is comparison. Every singer who joins the group enters a conversation already filled with legendary names. Fans naturally compare eras, voices, styles, and personalities. Price, he faced them comparisons throughout his whole career. Yet, rather than competing with the past, he focused on contributing to the future. That mindset allowed him to carve out his own place within the group's history. Although his time with the Temptations eventually came to an end, and it was very brief, Price's contributions remained significant. His career continued through performances, recordings, and appearances that celebrated classic soul music. Like many talented artists, he became an ambassador for musical traditions that continues to inspire audiences worldwide. Over time, the appreciation for Louis Price grew. Many fans recognized the challenges he faced. Stepping into a legendary group is never easy. Yet he handled the responsibility with professionalism and grace. Today, he remains respected by those who understand the importance of preserving one of music's most celebrated legacies. Decades after his time with the Temptations, Louis Price remains part of an extraordinary musical story. His contributions helped sustain one of the most important vocal groups in American history. His voice became part of a catalog that continues reaching listeners around the world, and his role served as a reminder that preserving greatness requires dedication. Not every artist get the opportunity to join a legendary group. Not every artist succeed when that opportunity arrives. Louis Price had his ups and downs. He stepped into one of the most demanding roles in soul music. He faced extraordinary expectations and contribute his own chapter to an already remarkable story. Because the Temptations is more than a group. They are a living legacy. And Louis Price became part of that legacy. He is a gifted vocalist, a dedicated performer, and a man who helped keep the music alive. For audience then, and for listeners now, and for generations still to come, the story of Louis Price is not simply about joining the Temptations. It's about carrying the torch and ensuring that the flame never goes out. Now, before we go, I have a question for you all. What is your favorite song by the Temptations that features Louis Price? While I have y'all here, if you would like to support the channel further, then feel free to become a member. By doing so, you help make these videos possible. I thank each and every one of you who supported me along this journey.